Too young to chase your dream. I have a very special guest with me who is, of course, another friend. I've got Ayana Symone, who is a writer. I mean, first off, she's freaking amazing, but you honestly, like, and I'm sure I'm going to brag on you through this whole half hour, but Ayana you wrote your first book at 12, and then you published a book at 17, and you are an example of what it is to see a young person really chasing their dreams. So Ayana, thank you so much for coming on, and welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And I can honestly brag about you for days. You are incredible. So I'm really happy to be on with you. I'm so excited.
Oh, well, thank you. First, I want to talk. You wrote your first published book at 17, and I have it right here.
Aw.
Put it on the camera, right? I have it here. My nails aren't done, so don't judge. But I mean, this is like not just a short little 60-page book. This is some serious writing. What inspired this?
So whenever I write, it's always about personal experience. I think that is the best place to write from, honestly, because you get to have like this special relationship with each character, but also the reader as well. So I always try to write about personal experience, but the book is not an autobiography. At first, a lot of people thought that it's not a book about my life, but it is inspired by some of the things that I have gone through as far as like trying to find a sense of confidence and security within myself that makes me feel confident. And I had to kind of go through a bit of a challenge when I was little. That first book that you mentioned, I wrote when I was 12. It was along the lines of that. And so this book is like the more mature version, I guess, of like what I wrote when I was 12, as far as, being confident and loving yourself. So that book and anything that I write is really a reflection of what I've gone through personally. And it's really cool to see like the amount of lives that this book has touched. And I'm really grateful. Seriously, like just knowing that you went through something for someone else to be inspired by is awesome. It's really cool.
And you were brave enough to share, even though it's not your personal story that you're sharing. There's pieces of you in the story.
Yeah.
And that's being really vulnerable and including that. Obviously, have you always loved writing? What got you on this path? Like,
I was thinking about that. I think it was when I was 8 years old. I don't know if you've heard of Judy Blume.
Oh my God, I used to read Judy Blume all the time.
Yes.
She's still writing? Like she still has books? Or
No, I have to look that up because she was a huge inspiration for me. I think it was her book, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
yes.
My mom, she recommended it to me because that was the first chapter book that she loved, like that she just absolutely fell in love with when she was a girl. And when I read it, it was the same, like, oh my gosh, like I just love it so much. And I loved it to the point where I would read it again, but I would add like my own little like spin to it because I'm
Did you really?
yes, oh my gosh, I was so obsessed. And I'm like, no, like the character needs like, there needs to be like a love thing going on, like a love. I was such like a scandalous 8-year-old girl, and I'm like, I'm gonna make this into like my own thing. And I had so much fun with it. I'm like, I like deciding the outcome. I like, giving each character a name and a situation, a story to tell. And from there, I don't know, I just kept going for it, and I fell in love with it each time I wrote. So.
Oh my God. Now see, I read, and I think a lot of young girls have read Judy Blume books. I know they were really big when I was growing up, and Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I think pretty much everybody read it. So I think we can totally relate to that book. Never did I think about changing the characters or the plan. So that is so cool that you used to do that. So it's actually kind of funny.
But like it's so much fun. As soon as I finish it, I'm like, I'm gonna read it again. We're gonna like put a little twist on it.
That's hysterical. So how long did it take you to write your first book, the one that you wrote at 12?
Yeah, I think it took me, I think it was like less than a year when I finished. I'm not too sure of that, but I will say with how I fell in love with myself, it took me 5 months to finish. And I thought that it took, just because it
5
took
months.
me, yeah, 5 months.
Can
I
you just show this again? This book took 5 months.
Don't let it fool you though, because I was 14 when I finished it. March 2015 is when the first draft was done. And I thought like summer 2015, I would have the book out, published, but it took a lot of editing. That's really the key. Like it was 5 months
Okay.
of writing, but like years of editing. And part of that could be because I am like such a perfectionist, and I'm like, no, like everything has to be right before it comes out. So it took like, year upon year. But it turned into something better than how I planned it at age 14 when I started writing. And that's like the cool thing about the process. Like it starts off one way, and then by the end it's like it's still what you wanted it to be, but so much better and so much more than like
Yeah.
what you planned. So that's always really cool.
So what did you learn in the process of writing this book? Like, did
Mm.
you have a roadmap? Did somebody say, this is what you need to do? You want to write a book, like, here's all the steps to make it happen? Or did you fumble through it?
No, that is, I like that word fumble, because I really feel like that's what I I did when writing. Because like going to like elementary school, middle school, they give you that like chart, like the beginning and then like the rising action, falling action, like those key steps that you like plug in to make a story.
Yeah.
I always felt, I'm like, this is taking away from my creativity. Like, I don't know. Like, it could be like I could plan it this way, it comes out a different way, and I want to have fun with it. So
Yeah.
I never before for that book, I didn't start out with like an outline or anything. It was just more so like it's gonna turn into this or that. It could honestly turn into whatever it wants to be. So I did feel like I was kind of like fumbling as I
Yeah.
was writing, but I guess it's just part of growing as a writer, because all of the projects that I'm working on now, I do have a set outline for. And it's good just to have like that foundation. Now I don't feel like I'm taking away from the creativity. It's just like, this is your foundation. This is what you're planning for. But if it turns into something else, like even better. So it's still fun in that. And I think that's one thing I had to learn as a writer. It's good to know like your chapter before you write it, if that makes sense. So
Well, it does. It does. And of course, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners. So just having those steps and that outline of how you're going to do business or how you're going to do a marketing plan, reaching the end goal,
yeah.
although very different, you do need that foundation and a little bit of the roadmap. Not to say you won't fumble along the way, but when you've got those pieces in place, it helps you stay on the path of what your real goal is.
Absolutely.
So, and that's interesting that writing books is similar to that.
Yeah. And I guess that's another thing I've learned too, that I always felt that each creative thing like has their own system, I guess. So like with writing, I didn't expect to relate to a lot of what, like I listened to a lot of like preachers and pastors and stuff, and what they describe, as far as like planning their sermons for each Sunday. It's like, that's what I go through. Like, it's so cool.
Right.
Being kind of locked in now in this quarantine, listening to a lot of just successful people and hearing how they got to like the top of their business. It's like, that's really cool, because that's how I feel like when I'm writing, like there's so many kinks to work out and so many challenges. And sometimes it makes you think like, no, like you're just making it harder. You're the only one going through it. But it's like, no, listen to these stories. Like a lot of people go through just like they have to take time to work out the outline, as we talked about, and seeing what do you want each season or each chapter to look like. And so that always brings me peace, because it's like you're not the only one struggling right now. Like other people go
You're not.
part of the process. Like that's a big thing I've learned. It's just a part of the process, and you gotta have fun with it. It's gonna come with it regardless. So you may as well have fun.
Right? I agree, because we're all going to face challenges. No matter what we are doing in life, they're going to come up, and you've got to roll with those punches and just have a good time.
Yeah.
So we're talking really about like, I mean, obviously I'm so intrigued by your writing and your passion at such a young age to know what you want to do, because I'm going to be real. Like I had no idea what I was going to do. And I I don't even think I figured it out. I think it just landed in my lap and said, here, you're going to do this. But even kids who are going, and young adults who are going to college, they're forced to pick a degree or what they want to go into. And it's almost like, how are you going to really know that you want to do this for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
How did you know you wanted to write? Because I mean, at what age did you decide, like, this is what I love, this is what I want to do?
So it's because by the time I was a freshman in high school, I told, I think, just about everyone, including strangers, that I am not going to college. Like, I just had it in my mind because I'm thinking, like, I know that I want to write. Like, I know that I want to go headfirst into this thing, like all or nothing. I want to be a writer. And so I'm thinking, like, I just don't want to go to college. And all throughout high school, having these like pep rallies and meetings and people coming in from like different universities to talk about their school, and they're handing me brochures and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to go. But it was interesting. My senior year of high school, I was kind of in a tough spot because it wasn't just like, Yana keeps saying she doesn't want to go, but I had to really make up my mind because it was scary. I'm like, oh gosh, like, was I serious? Oh, like the 4 years, like,
did I really mean it?
yeah, exactly. Like, so it was a tough situation, and I actually had the opportunity my senior year to start college early. So instead of taking college classes at my high school, I could take them at the university in my hometown. So I decided to go that route after like kicking and screaming almost. I decided to go that route just to try it out because I'm like, this is a good opportunity for you to see like whether or not you.
Right.
So I did it first semester, went okay. I was just taking writing classes, which is really cool. And then the next semester, graduation was approaching, and I'm feeling that tension, like, okay, like what's your decision? What do you want to do? And so despite everything, like, I knew that I wanted to be a writer. I knew that I had so many ideas, like for a podcast and for, like new ideas for the website and stuff. And I had a firm grip on that. But in the midst of uncertainty, it was a lot of question, like, are you sure? And so moving forward, I decided to go my first official year of college as a freshman. And by the first semester, I will never forget this moment I had where I'm like, this is not for you. Like, it was fun, your senior year of high school, you're able to test it out and see, but I remember very clearly, and I had to sit down with my parents and I just had to tell them, like, this is just not the route I want to go, because I was working so hard on like these projects for Spanish, like classes that I already took in high school, and like science and all this stuff. And I'm like, I really just want to blog right now. And I want, like, I have all of these ideas, and like, I can't get to them because I'm studying for my weather exam the next day. And so it was just and I just remember like that moment, and I just decided like it's not for me. And so I made that decision. I let my parents know, and now here I am. I feel like things are going college, but it was a bit of a interesting time. A lot of tension, conflict, doubt, but it's that leap of faith and seeing where it takes you. You just kind of gotta roll with it.
What was it like telling your parents? Was it hard, or did they already have an idea because you said it since you were young that college was not for you? But did they still say, well, she's still going to go to college? Because, I mean, what was it like? What was their response?
So it was a lot of, I think, honestly, that they kind of saw it coming because I had it so many times. And they kind of saw, well, it was a matter of me coming home with like a bunch of projects, and I would purposely like sit on the first floor of our house, like at the kitchen table, and like work on my stuff so I can show them, like, do you see how much I'm doing? Like Spanish class that I already took in high school, so like kind of letting them see it. I would, in conversation, I would make mention of, I do want to work on this, but I can't because I have to work on it. So like they kind of, time. And so when I told them, I don't think neither of them were shocked, but it was a bit of a transition because like two of my older sisters, one actually just graduated this past, I I think Sunday was the day, online graduation, of course.
Yeah.
And my older sister, she has so many degrees that like I can't name
I
all.
I saw that.
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's kind of funny. Like I'm the third one to do it, and it's like, sorry, you had fun with you. I'm gonna keep writing. Sorry.
But you know what? Your parents are both entrepreneurs.
That's true.
So
That's true.
do you think that that helped a little bit because your dad is in the music industry, your mom is in real estate,
Mhm.
so they're both running their own business, and now your other, I know, you know, did you think that impacted it a little bit where it's like, all right, like this girl is gonna carve her own path, like,
Yeah,
we just got to deal with it.
yeah, yeah. I think so, especially yeah, like with my mom doing real estate and my dad in music, like there is again kind of going back to what I said about like when I'm working on a book, I'm realizing that a lot of the process that it takes to get that final draft is a lot of what we see in other
Yeah.
not necessarily creative things, but just like other entrepreneurial things. And so like with my mom in real estate, seeing her sort through like, okay, I show a house this day and then now I have to go and like all types of
Yeah.
technical things. I don't know real estate, but like
Yeah.
seeing her work, it's kind of cool to see, like, I have to work out the same kinks. And like my dad with music, editing and remixing all of his songs, it's like I do the same thing with writing. So I think because there's that similar process, they did kind of understand where I was coming from. Like, this is what I want to do. And that process takes time, like working out all of those things. And so realizing that like I was putting so much energy and time into something that I wasn't really passionate about as far as
Right.
like, gen eds and all the stuff. And instead turning that passion or turning all of that time and energy and putting it into something I am passionate about. I think it's something they both could understand, even though it might have been hard. I think they both kind of saw that and they kind of put their hands off and said, she's going to do it regardless. So we may as well just give her our blessing, I guess.
Has anyone along the way tried to discourage you when it comes to writing because of your age and maybe telling you that you're too young, you really don't get it yet, and you need to take a different path? Has that ever happened?
So it's interesting because I am one of the lucky ones who have like the best people in my life, like from
That's
friends,
awesome.
family. I just have a good group of people around me, and so my parents have always told me, like from when I was a kid, that I could do anything. I don't care what age or like, oh, I'm a girl, I can't do this, or even because of my race, like they have never
Right, right.
told me like there's nothing that can stop you. So from the time I was a little girl, I've heard that. And then even, I mean, I'm intentional about this too, like who I keep around me, making sure that there are people who encourage me and motivate me, because like I honestly, I'm ready to step into what I've been wanting all along and just really dive headfirst into my dreams. And so I'm cautious about letting certain voices influence me. And so again, I'm really lucky to have friends. I just had a good conversation with one this past Saturday, and she just encouraged me and motivated me just to keep going. And that's like, it's honestly, I think it's what every person needs. But
Oh yeah.
because I am lucky to have the people around me. I'm very aware of the fact that not too many people have that,
Yeah.
and it saddens me because discouragement does a lot to you. It really does. And
Yeah.
I know for me, like while I have so many incredible people around me just to uplift me and encourage me, it's so funny because I could be my own worst critic. And anytime I hear that you can't do it, it's coming from myself. And that is
Right.
something I have to work on every day. Like it is a process that I have to work through. It's like you can't think like that. Like you have to lift yourself up and motivate yourself, because I mean, discouragement, once you let a thought sit for too long and you're trying to work on something new, it's like you got to be careful what you let in and out of your mind. So I'm lucky, but even for me, I got to work towards strong, positive self-talk every day.
Right. Right. We all do. I think we all get hints of that, and that self-doubt creeps in. I love what you said, that you're very aware of who you keep around you. First off, you do have an amazing family. I love your family. I can't say enough good things about your family. And yes, you are blessed to have the family that you do because they are just really amazing people. Uh, but even beyond your family, which some of us can't control, right? I have a great family too, so I'm not implying I don't have my family. That's what I say. Some of us can't control, but there are, sometimes we can't control who our family is. But beyond that, it's even your friends and colleagues and just, that circle. And I love that you said that it's really important to be aware of who's surrounding you because they absolutely influence you.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, I think one thing that we all can relate to as far as like, I mean, because we all have like different experiences in life, but we all can relate to relationships. Like it doesn't matter who you are, like you're gonna have a relationship with someone. It could be like from parents to romantic relationships, friendships. And so being that like we all experience relationships, it's important that we're all like being mindful of what relationship we're getting into. Because I think it's one thing to say like, oh, like I'm in this relationship where I have a lot of friends, or like it may make it seem like something it's not. And it's like going to the root of it. It's like, is this relationship lifting you up? Is it something that is pulling you forward and not like pushing you back? Because I think with social media, we can make it seem like, we have a lot of followers, a lot of friends, and make it seem like something it's not. But it's like, truly, like, who are you connecting with? Because that's so important. And it'll take you, I've had to learn this in my own life. Like, you have to make sure you have a strong group of people around you. And at the same time, you have to be your own cheerleader and your own biggest fan in a way. So it's interesting to see, again, like relationships just impact everyone. So like the relationship you have with yourself, relationship you have with family and friends, just making sure that they're good voices that you're letting in and out your mind. It's so important.
I love it. So you do so many amazing things. Of course, we've been talking mainly about your writing, but you have a podcast, To Be Heard. You are a blogger, which ties into your writing. You hosted an event in the beginning of the year that I got to attend and be part of. So thank you for having me. You're doing so many things that people that are older than you have talked about and never pulled the trigger on, and you're doing it. What drives you?
That's such a good question. I was thinking about this the other day as I was looking through some old journals that I found, because being mostly in the house now, just like having time to organize everything, all of my crazy papers. So I found some journals dated all the way back to like 2015, 2016. And it was really cool to see what I wrote down during that time, because I like thinking about the podcast, for example. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, I don't know even where I got that idea to do a podcast. Like I can't really trace that back to anywhere until I found this note in my phone that talked about like starting a radio station. So I was like, oh wow, I was like, maybe that's just something I've always had in my heart to do. I just was reminded of it recently. Or even like with the well, I'm currently working on my next book. So all of the ideas that I have for that book, I found ideas back from like 2015. I'm like, oh my gosh, like why didn't I touch on that? So I think it's just like talking about what drives me. I think it's just something that has always been in my heart to do. And I want to be able to make like the 2015 Ayana proud. And like even
Oh, I love that.
I'll hear even the stories that my parents tell me, like when I was a kid, and I've always wanted to like be my own boss, and just like be a leader and stuff. And so hearing their stories, I'm like, I guess it's just like always in my heart to do. And so yeah, I just want to look back and see who I was as a little girl, or like middle school, high school, and just make her proud, because I feel like I've been wanting to do it for so long. And I will say I can remember clearly the point of my life where I'm like, what are you waiting for? Like, just do it. And just like taking that moment and seeing all of the ideas that I had, it's like I was kind of giving myself a gift and I didn't know it, like to stumble upon later on in life, like, hey, that's a really good idea that you should do. So I would say that that's really pushing me forward, just like to make my younger self proud.
I love that, because I used to journal, but not I don't know. It's more of a diary, right? And I found my diaries from when I was a little kid, and they're actually really funny. They weren't nearly as insightful as your journals.
Oh, no way. No.
But they were fun to go back and read. And so I didn't ask you this prior to coming on, but are you able to share a little bit about your second book that you're writing?
I was
And I'm not going to put you on the spot if it's no. So we're
because I was like reading through some notes, and I wanted to give like a bit of a sneak peek. Like I was trying to form like a nice paragraph or so, like just to describe it. But as far as like the process goes in writing, the creative process, I'm kind of at a point in my outline even where I'm like, it could go this way, but it could very well go the other way. So I don't want to share anything.
Okay, that's all right.
It could go like one or two ways right now. So it's just like a part of the process trying to figure out like the roadmap. But
yeah.
What I can say though, I am so excited about it. I'll just say that, like working on it and seeing these new ideas, it's just, I'm so excited. So I'll say that, and then I won't say anything else.
I'll respect that. But when you are ready and it's ready to be published and launched, you better let me know so that I'm able to share it and buy a copy. And of course, I'm going to have you autograph it again.
Yes.
So you better get it to me. So a piece of advice, right? Because I know a lot of times when you're younger, and there's other variables, like you said, it could be being a woman, it can be your race, it can be a number of things, right? Your sexual orientation, where sometimes people will tell you you can't do this because of that. Mm-hmm. So what piece of advice, and we're going to stick to just age because that's which one applies to you. Sure. Would you give somebody else who is a young adult who feels like they want to pursue something, but they're being told that they need to do something else? Like, what would you tell them?
So what I learned is that you can literally do anything. And I'm learning that at this point in my life more than ever before. As far as like, you are in control of your thoughts, you're in control of how you talk to yourself and what you tell yourself, because I'm a firm believer of speaking it out loud and walking in it and acting as if like you already made the dream come true. Yeah. And I think, it doesn't matter how old you are, like you are in control of your thoughts. And so you can say, like, if you want to be the next fill in the blank, like, yeah. And it's just like working towards it and telling yourself that you can work towards it. It's not going to be easy, but like you're totally, you're ready to do it. Like you're made for the task. Like you can do this. And I have to tell myself that all the time, even in moments of discouragement. It's like, this is what you want to do and you're the one to do it. So just do it. And telling yourself that and having that positive and healthy mindset to do it is everything. And so it doesn't matter what age you are, like you are in control of your thoughts. So tell yourself that, think about it, work towards it, and like you can do it. I
love it. That's great advice. And like you said, for any age to remind yourself, because we all stop ourselves. We all second guess from time to time. So you are just amazing. You really are. And I saw Stephanie Gilchrist commented earlier, and I'm trying to remember if she was the one that introduced us or if it was your dad that introduced us.
I think it was my dad who introduced us, because I remember the first time I saw you, and I'll never forget. We were into Panera, and you had your planner and your laptop. You were ready to go, and I'm like, I like her. Like I love it. I will never forget that moment because I was so inspired.
Oh, thank you. That's so cool. I do remember all meeting at Panera, actually. I do remember that day. And you've inspired me as well. Like you really are. You are amazing. And anybody who knows you, even Stephanie said that she is, and I know that's what she was referring to, how amazing you are. And I am like really proud of the path that you're taking and how you're following your dreams. And I know that you're inspiring others, regardless of age or any obstacle that may seem like an obstacle. You are inspiring others to follow their dreams. Ayana, thank you so much for coming on. I love talking to you, and I so appreciate you.
You too. You are the best. Thank you, Deanna.
Right. And we'll catch you guys all Friday on our next episode. And I've got Edie Clark coming. We're going to be talking about video. She is amazing as well. So catch us next week. Thank you, everybody, for joining in.
Bye, everyone.